Hello again, and welcome to Quantum Worth Healing, our online courses. This series of courses is for personal and spiritual transformation. This is the first of the series, Self-Assessment and the Law of Attraction. Topic 4, Strategies. So the strategies, we're going to read the article together, and then we'll go over the assignments. So here we go. Let's read the caption on the picture. See the beauty in the world and know that it is a reflection of you. That's a very profound statement and extremely true. And if you have any doubts, make it one of your affirmations from the last one. Put it in your manifest box and let's fill that baby up. Okay. The moment we are conceived, we have needs. The moment we are conceived, we begin to develop strategies to get our needs met or cope with not having our needs met. The moment we are conceived, our stories begin. The story of our life, the story we tell ourselves, the stories we are told. I'm not writing this article and you're not reading this article because all of your needs are met in a healthy way, using healthy strategies, and our stories are all loving, compassionate, empathetic, and beautiful. I'm writing this and you're reading this because there is a fundamental disconnect between who we are and who we think we are, or who we are told we are. If I tell you we are all beautiful, we are all equal, we are all loved, and we are all loving, you will probably agree, or at least mostly agree. However, do we feel it? Do we embrace it? Do we live it? This is perhaps our greatest challenge, to see the true nature of who we are and truly embrace it. It is possible. It is within our reach. It is the truest reality. Yet millions of people tell themselves stories every day, throughout the day, that they are not worthy, and they are not good enough, they are not lovable, and much, much more. Why is this? Is this the way because the moment we are conceived, we begin to feel and hear? It is this way because the moment we are conceived, we begin to feel and or hear about our value, our worth, our importance. As we grow, we begin to believe stories about ourselves, stories that hurt, stories that feel good, stories that do not meet our fundamental needs, and stories that do meet our fundamental needs. If you were born into a family that showers you with unconditional love, both verbally and with physical contact, then your needs for love, acceptance, and closeness are going to be met. You will probably develop healthy strategies for meeting these needs, like simply showing love to those around you in the same manner they modeled for you. This is an example of a healthy strategy. If you are born into a family that withholds love, then you may develop unhealthy strategies for getting your need for love met, or for coping with not having your need for love met, such as doing what your parents want you to do in order to feel their love or attention, or drinking to ease the pain of not having your need met. In cases like these, attention is often what is sought because it can feel like an expression of love. For example, she must love me if she gives me attention when I act a certain way. Yet these unhealthy strategies are built upon an illusion. The illusion being that your behavior affects how the other person feels. These types of strategies can easily turn into lifelong patterns of behavior with many different relationships, but the lack of completely fulfilling the need for love remains elusive and out of reach, and they can lead to wounds and pain. Imagine a young child never experiencing his or her need for love, acceptance, value, except when he or she is sexually molested by the parent. It's a harsh reality. It doesn't have to be. The same child may grow into an adult or teenager who uses sex to have his or her needs met for feeling loved. The same child may grow into an adult or teenager telling him or herself a story that she or he is only worthy when having sex with someone. Yet the pain and the wound of a lifetime of conditional love will take its toll, and create many more strategies and stories around needs not being met. The first step to leaving unhealthy strategies and stories is to acknowledge them and accept them without judgment or admonishment or blame. They simply are, and they wouldn't be if you lived a different reality. Think of it like this. If you do judge yourself or admonish yourself or blame yourself or blame others, does it change what is? What is the natural consequence of judging or admonishing yourself? What is the natural consequence of blaming yourself or others? What is the natural consequence of simply accepting things as they are without judgment, admonishment, and blame? The second step is to allow yourself to feel the pain and feelings surrounding the thoughts that drive the strategies and stories and let them go. I often suggest clients imagine them sent to and burning up in the sun. I.e., I am only worthy when I have sex with them, and they only believe I am worthy if I have sex with them. Let those feel it, let it go, and let it burn up in the sun. This step is difficult because it involves feeling the pain associated with the story and strategy and unconscious triggers. The bad news is that at first, it is or can be extremely difficult depending on your life story. The good news is it gets easier each time you do it. The third step is to consciously choose a new thought such as I am worthy and lovable, whether I have sex or not. My worth and lovability isn't dependent upon someone else or their desires. Each time you replace an unhealthy thought or story with a healthy one, you are reprogramming your unconscious triggered reaction with a conscious response. After an indeterminate amount of times, your unconscious triggered reaction will mirror your conscious response. This process requires being conscious of our triggers. This process is a tool we should keep with us for our entire lives, as there is no lack of pain in our world. To pretend there isn't pain is to invite the pain to live within us and fester. Remember that the stories and strategies are as different as each person. For example, a child with the same circumstance may use completely different strategies and tell themselves completely different stories, such as I am not worthy because my parent had sex with me. As adults, they may withdraw and protect their feelings of not feeling loved by putting themselves out there. They may abstain from having sex altogether, and when they do have it, they may experience pain and discomfort and guilt. Life doesn't have to be filled with unhealthy strategies and stories and unhealthy unconscious triggered reactions. There is another way. Ask yourself, do I want to live a life where I feel positive and where I feel loved, worthy, validated, like I belong, like I'm part of something? No one can do it for you. You have to take the first step. Okay, well, we're going to jump right back over to the assignment, and we might reflect back on this as we look at the assignment, because it's quite significant this time. So the first assignment, give 3 examples of unhealthy strategies you use or have used in the past. Identify each strategy as either a strategy to get a need met or a strategy to cope with a need not being met. Again, if you have any questions about any of these or how to do them, feel free to shoot me an email, Christopher@quantumworthhealing.com. I'm expecting that until we get some more posts that I might get some questions on this particular assignment. So the unhealthy strategies, if you need to review back again, are strategies that we develop either to get a need met that's not being met or to cope with the pain of not having needs met. So the 3 examples, and they don't, we can start out with simple ones, or you can just jump right in to do something really deep and meaningful, and whatever moves you. There's no requirement. So an unhealthy strategy could be, for the simplest example is, and I know I gave some examples in the article, but I'm going to give you another one, is when you're a child, if you learn to get attention by throwing fits or by acting out, that's an unhealthy strategy. It does work. If it works, you'll keep it. And these days, there's no lack of that particular strategy. You see it all around you. Children acting up to get their, the attention of their parents. The problem with it is, as a child, it's not, even though it's not readily acceptable and no one really likes it a whole lot, it is more acceptable than if you're an adult and you don't get your way and you start having a fit. It's not going to serve you very well. By the time you're an adult, you'll probably have already, that a fit has evolved into something more, not a fit, maybe pouting, maybe anger, maybe, who knows, withdrawal. But it's a similar strategy to the one that you had all along, to simply get attention. And that attention could be for love, it could be just for validation. It doesn't, there's many different paths to the root of a strategy. And so give the three, identify each of what do you think it's, one for getting a need met or for coping. If it's a coping strategy, it's usually to cope with pain. So a good example of a coping strategy is substance abuse. But it doesn't have to be. It could be jogging, and even jogging, if it's taken too far, could actually become an unhealthy strategy. Okay, so if you have any questions about these, shoot me an email, Christopher@quantumworthhealing.com, and I can give you many more examples, or you can shoot me some examples and say, hey, is this what you mean? And I'll say, oh yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Or I'll say, oh well, pretty much, but maybe change this a little bit. We'll deal with it as it comes, but do your best. The next one, 3 examples of healthy strategies you use or have used in the past. A healthy strategy is something, again, that actually helps you get your needs met and serves your highest good. And a healthy strategy, for instance, in a relationship would be, say you want a hug or you want some attention from your partner, some romantic attention. A lot of times we get into this kind of pattern of expecting our partners to know how we feel and to know that we're needing something, to know that we are wanting attention, that we're having a need or an upwelling of love, and we want to share it. And the reality is that while our partners a lot of times are very in tune with what's going on with us, they've also got their own stuff going on. So it's very, using compassionate communication is a really healthy way to meet that need. And compassionate communication is something we're going to cover in much more depth further on in the series. But for an example, if you're wanting that kind of attention from your partner, a healthy strategy would be to simply ask and to make a request and just be very honest, such as, Christopher, I'm feeling like I really want to have some closeness with you, and do you think that you could make some time now, or if not now, maybe a little bit later, and just come sit with me on the couch and just snuggle for a while? That's a healthy strategy. You're making a request, you're expressing your needs and wants, and you're giving your partner a chance to respond. And a lot of times when you're using compassionate communication, your partner might respond with their own needs and their own requests. And that's fine, but always remember the golden rule of any request. Don't be attached to the outcome. If you're attached to the outcome, then it's more of a demand. So really sit with your requests and know that the answer may not be what you want. And if it's not, then you need to be okay with that. If it's not okay with you, then it really was never a request at all. It was a demand. Okay. The next assignment, using the process explained within the article, explain how you can address the 3 unhealthy strategies. Okay, so we're going to go back. I'm going to just go back to the article. What was that process? So you're going to go back to there. You're going to look at the process for dealing with unhealthy strategies. So there's 3 steps. The first step is to acknowledge them, accept them without judgment or admonishment or blame or shame. And remember, they just are. They're just, there's no change, there's no going back in time, and it doesn't do any good to blame. Blaming just gives all of your power away and leaves you where you are forever. You don't really want to do that. So accept them. Accept that, hey, I have an unhealthy strategy. Big freaking deal. You know what? Everybody has unhealthy strategies. Everybody has unhealthy strategies. And there's many people out there that'll be happy to judge your unhealthy strategies for you if you allow them. So don't do it to yourself. It's bad enough there's so many out there that are willing to do it. The second step is you allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to feel the pains and feelings that come up with, when those strategies are triggered, and let them go. And if you need to visualize the pain leaving your body and burning up somewhere, or changing into something beautiful, into something pleasurable, that's great. Use visualization. It's a great tool. And then replace that unhealthy strategy. And so the example in the article is, if your strategy was your thought, what's in your thought is, I'm only worthy if I'm having sex with somebody, or they believe I'm only worthy if I have sex with them. That's the thoughts and the feelings associated with that thought, that story. Let those go. Let them go up. Let them burn up. Let them transform. And what you want them to transform into is something healthy. So in this example, to transform them from, I only have sex, I'm only worthy when I'm having sex with them, or they believe I'm only worthy if I have sex with them. You can transform that particular thought or that story into, my worth and lovability isn't dependent upon someone else or their desires. And so you want to, and then you want to teach, and once you figure it out, you want to do it at all time. And being aware of the triggers is a huge step. It takes being conscious, it takes living in the moment. These are all unconscious things that they pop up with triggers, and a lot of people aren't even aware that they are unconscious. I mean, they just know what happened. Sometimes they're like scratching their head thinking, dang, did I just do that? Wow, did I just say that? Why do I do that? I've been there, and I'm assuming everyone has been there. So that's the 3-step process. So that's how you would answer that question. So then the next thing is, give 3 examples of unhealthy thoughts or stories you tell yourself, or you have been told long enough that you identify with it as true. These are generally all going to come from childhood, and they could be things that either your parents have told you, or your brothers and sisters, or if you went to school and you had a really poor teacher that didn't know better, that would say things like, you're stupid. We often hear patterns, and then we begin to relate to them. One of my cousins has dyslexia, so he didn't read very well, and that's a reality. That's an observation. He had struggles he had struggled to read. So because of that struggle and the negative attention that he received from it, he just didn't want to read. And he's like a brother to me, and my best friend. I love him dearly, and he's been called stupid most of his life. I happen to know he's extremely intelligent. And he's not, I don't think he knows how intelligent he is. So when we hear a story long enough, we begin to believe it. For him, that's the story he began to believe. And if you grow up believing you're stupid, it really hinders your whole life. You know, if you believe you can't do anything right, and what are you going to do? I mean, when you become an adult and you don't believe you can do anything right, well, you're not going to do anything. So it's a really important to figure out these stories and fix them. And everybody has them. Again, we all have the stories we brought from childhood. Mine was my story that I heard over and over. I'll share is, and not necessarily verbalized, very clearly with a lot of clarity, but the overwhelming message always was that you're not quite as good as everybody else. Your brother's more important than you. These people are more important than you are. I'm more important than you are. These are the kinds of messages I received quite a bit as a child growing up, and because of that, I spent a good portion of my adult life, or a number of years, living that out in an unconscious state without even realizing I was doing it. And now I can look back and I said, wow, I really treated myself poorly. Why? Why did I do that? Well, because I believed I wasn't worth as much as everybody else. Hence, quantum worth healing. But anyway, that was something that I had to first identify to change. And so here's a chance for you to identify 3 of them. If you want to give more than 3 examples, if you get on a roll and you're feeling like, wow, I'm really getting some stuff out there, go for it. There's no limit on this, but 3 or 300 doesn't matter to me. Okay, next question or assignment. Using the process within the article, explain how you can address each of the 3 examples. And those are the 3 examples you just gave previously of the stories and thoughts. So use that process again. And the process for changing unhealthy strategies and changing unhealthy thoughts and patterns is the same. Okay, patterns, they're kind of interchangeable. They do mean a little bit of different. There is a little bit of a difference between them in my mind. But strategies are stories that we believe, our stories we've been told, our patterns that we've fallen into. They're virtually, basically the same types of issues that we're dealing with. They're unconscious things that have us to believe something other than the truth. And the truth is that we're beautiful, we're all equal, and we all deserve everything good in life. That's the truth. Anything that goes against that is false, is an illusion. So use that, do your 3 examples. And again, on the forums, there isn't any here. I'm going to create some after I finish this recording.